Well, right after him goes Kenneth Walker. Weird. I just mentioned his name. Did I mention? Yeah, I just mentioned Kenneth Walker's name. And obviously the numbers are a lot lower. 874 yards, 6.5 touchdowns. So, but you mentioned you would rather have Kenneth Walker over him, right over James Cook.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well as the fact that, like, this has a new offense now. Clint Kubiak is the new offense coordinator there. Should open things up offensively for this team, but Kenneth Walker's had trouble staying healthy himself. And while these numbers in retrospect seem a little bit low, this is still one of them things where I'm like, we got a player who is explosive. He can hit a home run on any play, but the injuries, it drags this number down a lot. And we talk about James Cook. I would be very careful with Kenneth Walker in fantasy, because these numbers kind of allude to not just the fact that he gets hurt, but this may not be the year that we're all expecting for him to just completely blow up. Like, he's had opportunities. He's had a lot of those mega games, but he's only cracked 1,000 yards once in his career. He's had over 6.5 touchdowns every year, which I think the touchdowns are probably safer, but he also could be used a little bit more in the passing game. I'm having trouble with getting Kenneth Walker up in my rankings. I find myself continuing to kind of like lower the bar and expectation. It feels like Vegas might have already beat me to the punch.
Mm-hmm. No, I think definitely they might have beat you to the punch. I think you hit it on the head when he showed the promise. He showed the home run hitter ability. It's just the consistency. How is the new coach going to get him involved in the passing game? I think in order to hit, and these are rush numbers, right? But
yeah,
I think overall fantasy numbers, he will have to get involved in the passing game to up that ranking. Even though I take him, over James, right? I think that I don't know. I don't think he hits these numbers as far as the rushing yards go, but I like him for the touchdowns just because his home run hitter ability. I think if he's playing, if he plays in 10 games, I think he hits 6.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, and that NFC West ain't the same as it used to be defensively. I feel like, you get the Cardinals twice. The Rams are actually getting better, and then the Niners obviously going through. You got Fred Warner you got to go up against, but it feels like, this is a little too low for me. Like, especially like, I don't know, I just feel like this number is low for a reason. And as much as I like Kenneth Walker, the player, the real football player, I think fantasy wise, we have this thing in our head where it seems like he's way better than he is. He's never finished above RB18 before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, heck no. Dude had 500 yards last year. He only had 500. No way. He only had 500 yards last year? Am I tripping? I thought he had more than that. Kenneth Walker only had 500 yards last year? He only had 573 yards last year.
Oh, yeah, we're not taking that one.
Yeah, but he only played 11 games. So it's tough because, like, he just doesn't stay healthy. He's missed time every single year, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. Shout out to Lattimore with that stat, with Laddie Lattimore. But, yeah, Kenneth Walker, man, I don't know. He's one of those players I'm having a hard time with because, like I said, tape, you teach a lot of tape. Tape says one thing sometimes, but fantasy numbers don't always equivalent to what, like, their real value is on the tape. All right, let's go through a couple more. Let's talk about Ashton Jeanty real quick. I've been talking a lot about Ashton Jeanty as of late. And we're going over some of these numbers. James Cook, who just finished up a top 8 RB season, had 999. Christian McCaffrey was at 999. Kenneth Walker, who a lot of people like, 874. We get Ashton Jeanty with 1,074 out the gate.
Out the gate.
Out the gate for this Raiders team, Marcus.
Out the gate.
How you feel? I've talked a lot about Ashton Jeanty, so I want to get your opinion on him. Obviously, prolific in college. Talk to me. How you feel about Jeanty?
You know what? I love him as an athlete. I love him as a player. I love his mentality. I love the fact that he stayed at Boise State and took the little old 300,000, that they gave him. They act like he was doing them this big service. I'm like, bro, he got paid to stay over there.
Paid.
Right? He got paid. I would have stayed for a car and an apartment and a $300,000 check.
You need some of that back pay they're giving out.
I need some of that back pay they give. They need to go back to the early 2000s. I seen a $1 billion check go out for 2014. Yeah, I need to go further back, man.
Facts.
I need to go further back. But no, man, I love him as a player. We played in the same conference. College-wise, I think he's an amazing. I do not think he should have won the Heisman. I think the Heisman went to the right guy, but he's an amazing back. I think that he would have a solid year. But 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, it could happen, right? And I'm hopeful that it does happen. I just don't see it happen. It's risky, right? It's one of those things where, you know what, if they really feed him the ball, yeah, he stays healthy, he can do that. He's good enough to get these yards. I think that I'm just staying away from the rookie yardage and the rookie touchdown just because, I don't want, the thing is.
He said he was going for 1,500. He said his goal was to hit 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. And I'm like, right. You get Pete Carroll there who ran the shit out of Marshawn. You get Chip Kelly who loves to run the football. Right. But you mentioned NFL ain't the same as where he played in his conference in college.
NFL is not the same. I played with a running back that went first round, Ryan Matthews out of Fresno State. I thought he had a very solid career in the NFL, but the NFL is not the same. And here's the thing. These defenses, they hear your goals. They hear what you want to hit. They see you. They're like, they're jet set on proving this is not college football. Right? You see what they did to Caleb Williams, man. Caleb Williams is one of the best quarterbacks I ever watched in college, and I thought he would be way better as a rookie, right? Because he was just so dominant, so good as a college player. I loved everything about him. But he has to change his game. He can't play the same way, right? Jeanty, he runs pretty high. Now, Derrick Henry runs high too. He gets away with it. He's pretty strong up top as well. But we're going to see. The Mountain West is not the AFC West, okay? The Mountain West is not the AFC West. And I just think that, some of those linebackers from Kansas City, they looking their chops, man. There's a lot of and there's a division. He's gonna have to take, he's gonna have to take that respect because the Broncos, the Chargers are gonna be playing smash mouth defense. I think that, he's gonna have his work cut out for him because they know they're gonna have to run the ball.
Yeah, they're lucky. They play that AFC South, so they should be, AFC South a little softer, defensively at least.
AFC South?
Yeah, they play like the Colts and Texans, all that stuff.
The Raiders, the Raiders are the AFC South.
Yeah, Raiders are AFC West, and so they play in the AFC South this year. That's their other. My bad. That's their other division that they're playing this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're playing them, and then they're playing the NFC East too. So. We'll see. I was trying to like anticipate how the yardage would look against those divisions. So he's got. It's kind of a layup.
Who's the AFC South? The Texans.
Yeah, Texans, Colts, Tennessee. Okay. Yikes, Jags. Okay. And he might. Yeah, he might. He said, "I'll take Jeanty's yards. I'll chance it." He might. Hey, with that schedule, he might. It is an older Pete Carroll, older Geno Smith, and I think they will have to play ball control. And I think they will have to force feed him the rock. But, you also – I don't want to overstate this because I always do this and then shit gets blown out of proportion when I say it. Like, I'll say something, a compliment to somebody, and it gets blown out of proportion. But Raheem Mostert, when he's able to play, is not a bad running back. So I don't see this just being Ashton Jeanty getting 25 to 30 touches a game. I think they're going to use Jeanty. He's going to be productive, but they'll also use Raheem Mostert. That's why you bring a veteran presence like that in to give him 8 to 10 touches a game as well. So, like I said, I don't want to overstate it and be like, because what I say it be getting blown out of proportion sometimes. I think he's good, not good enough to hurt Jeanty, but like you use multiple backs. There's hardly any backfields where it's just one guy anymore. Like, even with the Ravens, you see all the other backs coming there. Like, I don't know. I want it for Jeanty. I just don't see it. And I feel like he's going he's RB4 right now ahead of guys like Derrick Henry, who had 1,900 yards last year. Crazy.
That honestly, it's stuff like that I'm like, wait, what?
It don't make no sense.
You know what Derrick Henry does on that Boise State team last year? You know what he looks like?
Probably 5,000 yards.
If you put Derrick Henry on that team last year, come on, man.
Man,